Hey guys, what's going on? This is Michael Root with Keys Playback Circuit. Today I have a fun one and a new kind of thing that we're going to do today. Back in January, I'm filming this in August now, or recording this in August, but back in January, I decided to go through all of my songs and basically reformat them. My band Signal Fire, we were going to build a new stage rack, and we were going to integrate a Play Audio 1U and a few other things, as well as build an on-stage performance network, which completely changed the game and helped with our setup. I'll have a video coming out on that later on how we use that live and what it looks like. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to subscribe, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. But anyways, I did this back in January, and I am just now getting to this in August of 2025. So bear with me as I kind of try to remember what exactly I did, but let's walk through it together. I'll press play here. And so my thought process behind this, there's no right or wrong answer here, but I wanted to have all of my songs in one set to upload them, or to make the changes that I needed to make. I was debating if I wanted to do this in one master set and then export all the songs into individual song files, or if I just wanted to go into one song at a time. But I needed to add some global tracks, and I wanted to make sure that they were all the same. Everything was labeled correctly. You know, if you misspell one thing, it may not be a big deal sometimes. It depends on what it is, but I just wanted everything to be uniform across the board. So I decided it would be best basically to take all of my individual songs, which you can see over here in Ableton's live browser on the left-hand side, and pull them into one master session. And it was a lot too. You know, we only have 20, maybe 25 songs on tracks, but for each of those songs, or not, maybe not for each of them, but for a couple of those songs, we have 4 or 5 different versions of them, different song medleys. So I had to bring everything in and capture everything. And the other benefit of bringing everything into a master session was when I have multiple of the same songs, it just, you know, different versions and all, I want to remember exactly how I did certain things, how there were some tracks that I had to duplicate, and there was some new audio routing that we're going to have to do for the Play Audio 1U. So basically, that's just me putting in a song. I did decide to warp my song title audio clip at the very beginning, so the audio clip just says the name of the song right before the intro. I was having some issues when I was building sets. When I pulled a song into the set, the audio clip was unwarped, and so it would get cut off sometimes, and I would have to re-drag it out. So I decided to warp it and extend my tempo track over that, and I don't have any problems. That's just me, basically. I think that's the last song, or I think there's a couple more songs, but that was me just showing you how big and massive of a file that is. Lots of songs in there. So this is me dragging in Shapes of Home. Super simple. You know, if you haven't built a set, or if this is kind of new to you on how I'm building it, check out From Studio to Stage Will Doggett. He's got some great content on how to build song files and how to take those song files and bring them into sets. This is basically his template, how he builds things, and I've just copied everything that I've learned from him, and it works flawlessly. As long as you keep your stuff up to date, which is why I'm having to do all this. As you can see, I only have one click track on that song that I brought in, and then up here I have 2 click tracks. I have one for Ken, who's our drummer. He wanted a different sample click, which I'll play for you later in the video. But basically, I went ahead and put that second Ken click up there because like half of my songs already have that track in there, and half didn't, and so that's kind of how why I'm going through and updating everything. You know, say I were on stage and I had to drag in a song to the set because we wanted to make an adjustment. Say that song only had the 1 click, and I completely forgot to drag in the other click and just copy and paste it down there. It would really suck if we're on stage and I press play and everybody besides the drummer has the click. That would be a nightmare. So again, just one more reason why I chose to build a master set with everything in there rather than individual song files. I felt like it may be a little bit harder and more work, but I feel like there was less room for error doing it this way. rather than having to open up each individual song file. So again, giant set. I mean, that's a lot of songs, a lot of tracks going on, but and I'm still working on getting everything into individual song files, if I'm being honest with you. And I did this back in January, but anyways, it's definitely worth it. You know, if you keep track of your files, you know, it's not going to be this complicated. But again, this was just one thing because we were having to build a new stage rack. And so this is me going into the audio tracks. Basically, I was redoing all the audio routing for the band. I'll pause the video right here real quick. We were switching to a Play Audio 1U, and I wanted to have a lot of freedom and flexibility. I wanted to basically build it in a way that if I couldn't show up to a show, they can just plug in from the Play Audio 1U into the Stage Snake where my keyboards would normally go. So they can have piano, the bubble track, and my lead keyboard all in separate inputs into the Stage Snake, and front of house can mix it, and you can also mix it in your ears, just as if I was there live. So anyways, I hope that makes sense. Also, you know, like if the bass player can't make rehearsal, we can just turn on one of the return tracks and we have bass. And if I can't make the rehearsal, you can just turn on the return tracks and you can just route it to the regular track sends on 1 and 2, or, you know, like I said, you can plug in an extra XLR into the Snake and have that option. So, you know, I have everything that's not going to the main tracks bus routed into a different return track. That way it's super easy, super flexible, whether it's just practice or whether, you know, it's a live show and we have like a nightmare situation where someone gets sick, like, you know, right before the show and we need to put bass or keyboards or saxophone in the tracks. So anyways, I'll press play here, and this is me just redoing all the audio routing here. So piano skank is basically just the piano, so that's all going to F, which is turned off because I'm playing, but basically you can just go into this return track that you see down here where it says piano and turn that on, and then everything would be on. I had to turn back on some of these tracks that I had previously taken out for different reasons. So this is a good catch. This is a drum and bass section, so I wanted to make sure to take that out. That way it matched the piano and the guitar cutting out for that section. So, you know, a couple things when I was updating these songs that I just had to pay attention to, you know, go back through the songs once or twice just to make sure that I had everything correct. There were a couple times that I had to duplicate some tracks, basically because I was playing a lead at some points and I wasn't playing a lead at some points. So that's basically the new routing of the song. So anything that's going to the main tracks bus is down return track A, and anything else is going to another return track, and that return track is off. The only exception is like the Rhodes. I think I put down H, maybe G or H, and that's because we have another keyboard player who plays with us. And so if he joins us, then I have one return track that I just have to turn off whenever he plays. And then when he's not playing with us, I just make sure that one return track is turned on. So everything is in return tracks to try and make things, you know, super easy. I don't have to go into each song and turn things on or off. So I hope that all makes sense. And I will play you that click too that our drummer uses, and cover your ears because it's pretty bad actually. So let's press play. Thanks for joining me along for this journey. This was just a couple songs. It took a lot more time than this, but again, it was so worth it. I feel like I have freedom, flexibility. If I need to throw a song into the set while I'm on stage, I can do that within 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds if my computer is being slow. I'm going to have a video coming out soon on the new stage rack that we built, so stay tuned for that. It's a game changer, the way that we build this stage rack. Again, that's all from Will Doggett stuff from Studio to Stage. So be sure to check out his channel, subscribe, Keys, Playback Circuit, and I will catch y'all in the next video.